So this one is 231, I think, -05. Yeah, 231-05. So this is train 231 doing its 5th service of the day. Elephant and Castle to Harrow and Wealdstone. So we're in platform 3 by the looks of it. So you can see the weight of the train here, 185 tonnes. Right, so before we get started, I just want to get a key in. So I'll activate the train and put the reverser in. We're now in control. Get the doors open and pop outside and have a look. What we could do, actually, this is a good time to just explore the train.
So someone asked a moment ago whether this was on the development build or the production build. This is pretty much a production build. It's like, 1% short of a production build. Not the. Is this the production build at the moment?
No.
No, it's not. We'll be doing more builds before the game goes out.
It's pretty close, as you say, though.
But it is pretty close. So this is not on a development build this time round. What I suggest we do is, if you and I shut up entirely on this first station run, so between platforms, because a lot of people want to hear what it sounds like. Yes.
There'll be plenty of options for if you can't hear it, so just shout. The screen tearing is going to be my machine, probably.
Well, that probably is not good enough. Is it your machine?
I believe it's my machine, yeah. When I run it locally, I don't get that. So one of the defining characteristics of the underground is dark. Turn on the lights. So you've got cab lights, which you can control. There's 2 lights and you've got independent control of them. So it's not far between stations on this route. Get speed limit increased shortly.
Have you got your headlights on?
I do. That's what. Well, that's what it's like when they're off.
That's dark.
Headlights really don't do an awful lot on these trains.
Could we get a little more train volume?
Mm-hmm. How's that, folks? That means more sound volume, but 380 yards to Lambeth North.
Okay, good stuff. So, for those who don't know, how many stops are there on this particular route? I see you looking away from the person standing on top of the sign. Embrace the insanity.
What cause is that?
There you go, that's it. They've sorted themselves out now.
They've gone, it's fine.
Yeah, not quite a production build. Not quite.
I think it's something like 25 stations. I can't remember the exact number. It's a
Okay.
lot. It's a lot of stations. Someone asked about whether the platform repeaters are there. Yes, they are. But there was one just next to me, but I'll show you on the next station where the next one is. It's presumably to stop unfortunate accidents. Coming into Waterloo. So this is one of those repeaters. Some of them are actually, you find them halfway down the platform in some cases.
Right.
Some people are asking about the mirror as well. That's the mirror. As we talked about on some of the other streams, it's somewhat faked, but it does give a reasonly.
Well, it's not.
effective.
It's not so much that it's faked. It's a default operator from within Unreal, right?
Yeah.
So it's a reflection, but it's not a true mirror.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yes.
Which it probably doesn't. Right, talk us through the operation of the controls. We had someone say, go on, give us a once-over of how we're actually moving here.
So it's pretty much all done on this control. So as I move it out of the electro-pneumatic brake settings into the off and release, if I now push it into shunt, we've now got, well, as soon as the brakes finish releasing, there we go, we've now got minimal power, so it'll accelerate slowly up to a point. If we then put it into series, we'll accelerate a bit faster. Right, so we're off to Charing Cross now. So this is the map while we're on the run. So there's Charing Cross and other stations. That I think is Paddington. Kilburn Park, Queen's Park. And we are not breaking the speed.
So we're going to complete this run first, and then we'll do a little bit of exploration and looking around the train in full, and showing off a few more bits and pieces. I think we might just stand around looking at the passenger information screen for 5 minutes.
Well, when we get to Queen's Park, we're going to stand around Queen's Park, and I've lined up a time of day which has a number of trains coming in for us to enjoy looking at, which we can sit and watch the passenger information boards doing their thing at the same time as well.
So to confirm what we've mentioned about announcements before, are there any announcements at all, even if they're just canned, or is it a zero announcement scenario that we've got going on here?
Very occasionally you'll hear an announcement. They're please don't leave trash on the platform, and stand back from passing trains, and they're fairly generic canned expressions.
I hope they don't say trash for that.
I think it's one carriage. And what you find in a lot of cases, it just gives you like this odd sort of extra bit to the platform. But Piccadilly Circus, they couldn't really do that because it was too close to the other tracks. So you get this kind of weird chasm at the end of the platform here. Sort of unique on this line. There's a couple of places on the line where the kind of a wander around, have a quick look at this one, where the you'll see like openings between where you can see the other tracks, but this is the only platform where you actually
I am
see
familiar with it.
You can hear the announcement going off in the background now.
You're going to make us late.
I know, I'm always late. Collectibles.
All right, okay. Well, look,
collectibles.
since we're here, oh, I see. You wanted to drop a crafty newspaper off.
Yeah.
What? Just go and clean out the carriages. There'll be loads. Okay, smashing. For those of you slightly concerned about the amount of tearing going on, that is due to Matt's PC more than anything else. But I mean, I've played it and haven't seen that much tearing, so we're running with what we've got here today, rather than an optimum demonstration rig.
Can't understand. When I last tried streaming using this, common thing actually, and it's a sound effect we've had in the game for quite a long time, and so it's more how it's applied rather than the actual sound itself. And so the audio team have spent a lot of time in this instance, working out how the sound is applied, what would make it sound authentic when it's applied, based on speed you're going, how sharp the corners are, and that sort of thing.
Common request at the moment is: have you got the passenger lights turned on?
I don't actually. Good point.
You're trying to terrify these people.
Oh, hello. No. Upset, that's what we want. Hey, we got passenger lights.
There you go, that's better.
Press the right button. I can do competition.
And I mean, forgive me if I'm wrong, because I should know better, but you can turn off the coloured track section to show you where to finish, to stop, right?
Yeah, I'll do that at next station.
Okay. Having just clocked the signal, one of the questions we were asked for tomorrow's Q&A, and it makes sense actually to ask it here, is do the trains on the undergrounds, do they work in accordance with reality, where it's the front of the train that dictates a speed limit rather than the rear?
No, it doesn't. No, so it's still based on the same mechanism that Train Sim World has always used, which is the speed limit of the train is the lowest speed limit anywhere in the train, which so it look like it's at the back of the train essentially. So it is something that we made the engineering team aware of, but we weren't able to make that change for this. Watching my speed.
Here we go, out and about.
This is a really interesting signal, this one at BB31, BB32, because it's a combination of so many different things. You've got the main head, which is the signal to clear you to Harrow and Wealdstone. This is then a copy of that pointing down, the coacting head so that you can see it more easily if you're parked right up close to it. This semaphore is for if you're going into the shed. That theatre is telling you which part of the shed ports you're going into, and the rail gap indicators tell you whether or not the electrics are switched off in front of you, which isn't simulated, so you'll never see that switched on.
Okay.
But we put the RGI signals in all the places they should be. Next station is Kensal Green. We've got our green light.
So for those who didn't catch the Bakerloo dedicated Q&A, initially we're releasing we're releasing Bakerloo with 200 operating services throughout the day. The aim is to increase that to 450, but that needs a little bit more development time in order to get it to work. We don't have the current timeline for that happening, but obviously we'll let you know as soon as we've got a schedule for that. So it will be 200 services in total at launch. Is it exactly 200?
202, I think, something like that. You can see it in the menu actually when we go back to the menu.
Let's call it 2 for the sake of hope.
Yeah. And I saw actually I've seen some confusion on a Facebook group somewhere. They were saying, is it 200 plus the 450, or it's the other one will be a total of 450. So no, it's not 650 like some people were thinking. Should get the speed up in a moment. Next station is Kensal Green.
Can we get an outside view now? We're outside.
Just thinking that myself.
Now, for those of you asking about the roadmap, we delayed the release of it. It's going to be out next Tuesday. So Tuesday will be the first release of the roadmap, and we'll do a stream to answer your questions about it that evening. We did say the week before, but it will still be before release. But we're going to be updating the roadmap on Tuesdays, so it felt sensible to do the first one on a Tuesday.
Right, coming up on Kensal Green.
We're going to have a look at some adhesion mechanics in well, in a moment or two. Once we've finished this jaunt, we'll do an adhesion test in the rain.
I'll show you how easy it is to totally lose grip with this thing. It's been very amusing watching the beta testers play it and confidently go from being in the dry to being in the wet and completely missing their station. I may have laughed at them. I may also have done exactly the same thing myself on many occasions too.
But presumably, if you run a red light on this, you still fail.
Yes. Yeah, running a red light is still just as bad as normally running a red light. You have no right to judge. Right, Willesden Junction is the next one. So we've got West Coast Main Line over on the left, and as has been mentioned a few times, there is no AI traffic on the West Coast Main Line.
At the next station, if we could have an exterior view while you're closing the doors so we can get the loudest thunk possible.
Sure.
When you reach the terminating station, do we have any services whereby you can then jump out, go jump in the other end and head back the other way?
This train will do exactly that, almost certainly. They don't hang around at Harrow and Wealdstone long before they turn around and head back the other way again.
So you could get out and drive it straight back again if you felt like it?
Yep. Especially given how late I'm running, I'm almost certainly going to be causing a delay on the following service. Because that's how I roll.
Sam, we'll talk about wheel slip and slide protection when we do the adhesion demo presently, because then we can go into how you can actually, because a lack of adhesion is all well and good unless you've actually got the means to be able to cope with it. What spec are you actually running on there, Matt?
This is a laptop running 20 GTX, a 2070 and i9 some mobile processor.
How much RAM?
32 gig.
Okay.
Because I do dev on this machine. The game certainly doesn't need it. Nice. Get off his head.
I was about to ask you about stuck doors, but there appeared to be a stuck passenger. We've covered that before, but I'll mention it again. The West Coast Main Line that is visible is literally just scenery. So you cannot put trains on it using the scenario planner, and there are no AI services running on there as part of this route. Crazy, yes, the game can run on a laptop, but let's face it, this is quite a serious laptop.
Yes, oh yes, this is a hardcore laptop. Right, Harlesden is next, and then I think we're at Stonebridge Park, and I'll show you where the exit to the depot is when we go past there. And so there's services that actually use, so there's services in the timetable that let you depart from both Stonebridge and London Road depots, and also go back into those depots as well.
Is there AI running in the opposite direction? Yes, we've seen a few. What sort of? I mean, this is where the number of services comes into play, and normally on a busy time of day on the London Underground, it was it's about 600 services on the Bakerloo Line, isn't it?
There's 36 trains in total running at any one time at busy hours, which is, I think I read somewhere actually, someone else said it was more like somewhere between 600 and 1,000 services. So it's very busy, whereas this timetable there's 9 trains running around, so that's why it's a bit harder to see trains going in the other direction. But you will see them. We have seen a couple so far on this journey at least. We'll probably pass some on the underground. South Kensington's next.
Oh, welcome back to the party there, Restream bot. If you're on Twitch or YouTube, the Restream bot there is just to tell you what the chat is going on the other channel. Feel free to mute them if they're getting in the way.
Coming in South
Can we get a close-up of the suspension if you've got time before the next go? You can't uncouple the train, can you? As far as I remember.
No, you can't uncouple the train.
You getting any sound delay on your end? I'm just wondering. Someone's saying that some of the sounds like that sound like they're delayed, and I'm just checking that it's not the stream causing that rather than the game.
There's no sounds coming delayed. They all seem to be about right from where I'm sitting.
No, the cursor will not be pink. That is this will give you a reasonably good example. Sandpatch grade, when we show that off next week, that will give you a better still idea of how variable adhesion works. Obviously, the heavier the train, the more that adhesion starts to factor in a big way. But because the tube trains here, they are properly swift on the acceleration, grip can be a big deal, particularly in the wet.
Right, so we start at Harrow and Wealdstone again. So again, we start in this side of the shed here.
So what are we looking for here? I mean, you say variable adhesion. Now, to a clown like me that doesn't really know what you're driving at there, what are we looking for? What's the telltale that adhesion is?
So most
is not
trains
what it should be.
show the speedometer based on reading the speed of the wheel. Yeah. So if you suddenly slip because you're doing too much power, your speedometer go crazy. Like it says you're going a lot faster than you really are. Like. Actually, so you see the speedometer here, it's reading incorrectly. Plus you also saw the arrows that appeared here that said I was wheel spinning at the time. So, yeah. But we're only going short speed, so a low speed limit here. So let's get through this station.
Yeah, this is more like London.
I'll turn the motion blur off because it makes it easier to see what's going on with the wheels. Right, so what we'll do is we'll just gun it out of this station. And if you watch for...
What, you mean driving it properly?
Yeah, driving it properly for dry weather. And if you watch this, you'll see the... I'm waving my hands around. There's these red chevrons that appear, which tell you that you have not 100% grip. So we've got green light. So if I just put it in maximum power... And it managed to get the grip again. So what happens with this train is that when it loses grip, it will cut the power to the motors and then reapply them again. So which means that by virtue of that, you will eventually pick up speed. And as you can see here, we've managed to recover it. So that's less of a problem because of the cutout. So it's got wheel slip protection in terms of acceleration. What it doesn't have anything of is slide protection. So something like the ICE, for example, has slide protection in that when you apply the brakes, it's actually monitoring each axle individually, and it will release the brakes on each individual axle so as to keep them from being from losing grip if it senses that they're running at a different speed to the average of the rest of the axles, essentially. So the next
So if you were to hammer the brake on now, would we slide or would we actually stop properly?
We lost grip briefly there.
So how does this actually going to change the way that you play in the case of, you know, if I'm playing this normally, and how's this going to affect how I play? Is it just basically going to make me play more sensibly, accelerate slower?
Essentially, I mean, because of the wheel slip protection coming out when you're starting off, you can probably be a little bit cavalier as you accelerate because the wheel slip protection will help you, but you may want to gradually increase your throttles rather than just wrapping it up to 3 like you would in the daytime. When you're slowing down for a stop, however, you almost certainly will want to will come in, instead of coming in on, say, a notch 3 brake, you'll want to maybe come in on a notch 2 brake. So if I cut the power now and drop it into a notch 3, wait, that's not losing grip. That's surprising.
And the weight of the train is modelled as well as the additional passengers on board.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so as you press escape, you can see the weight of the train, and if after you've done unloading at a passenger, you'll see this weight is up or down. That number's not faked. It is the measurement used for all the physics as well.
The train sim guy asks, so if you're in a tunnel, does the adhesion rate change even if the weather is rubbish outside?
It's a mixture. So because you do still get some ill effects, but
it's different to outside.
Yeah, it's different. The same actually under if you got like a motor, you go under a motorway or under a bridge or something in a viaduct, like a fly under, like at the one that was just further down the line here. You'll see that those have got different adhesion as well. The same as you don't see them get snowy in snowy weather on other routes.
Okay, well, people are quite keen to see a little bit of exploration on foot.
Okay, shall we go and have a look at a depot?
Yeah, let's go and do some depot action.
Right, so let's go explore, spawn on foot, and we will go to, let's go London Road first. Oh, we're on the east here, which is this one. No, that's Waterloo. London Road, not depot, that's the one we want. Let's go back to a sensible time of day. If I go into the morning, so say about 7 o'clock, you'll see trains there then as
well. The pop-up menu for opening and closing of doors on PC, that is remaining this time round.
Yeah.
again, being able to rebind that to direct keys, it's on the big long list of things we want to do, but it's not included at the moment.
So the shard in the distance here. So this is London Road Depot, so on the map we're here. So this is Elephant and Castle, and trains will basically come out here and their first passenger stop will be Waterloo.